This is the Everyday AI Show, the everyday podcast where we simplify AI and bring its power to your fingertips. Listen daily for practical advice to boost your career, business, and everyday life.
How can AI help you launch a business? That's one of the exciting things that we're going to be talking about today on Everyday AI. This is your daily live stream, podcast, newsletter. It's everything for you to help you understand and actually use AI in your everyday lives. And that's one of the things that we're going to be talking about today with our guest, Emma Lowe. She's the partner at Flight Level 180. Emma, thank you for joining the show.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me, Jordan.
We're excited. So we're going to go over the news and AI first, but if you are listening live, so like I said, we are streaming live to LinkedIn, but if you're live, please drop Emma a comment or myself, and we'll talk about it. If you're listening later on the podcast or just reading about this in the newsletter, please join us live every morning, 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. All right, now that I got that out of the way, couple news pieces that are really exciting. So number one, if you didn't see this, it's wild. And this is going to, I think, become a very gray area in the future. But there's actually a lawyer who used Chat GPT to file charges. And now he's actually might be facing charges himself because it turns out that what he submitted to the courts, there was citations that Chat GPT created that didn't exist. So that lawyer might be in a little bit of hot water. Kind of the second news piece of the day, Microsoft over the weekend, the president and vice chair of Microsoft said on the CBS show, Face the Nation, that lawmakers need to regulate AI and they need to regulate it faster. My personal take is it seems the big CEOs of these tech companies, VPs, whatever, they're all saying like, oh, yes, we need more regulation. But obviously, they're the ones, their companies are growing so fast in the meantime. So my hot take, at least here in the U.S., I think regulation is going to be a little slow. So I think that they're in a very easy place to just say, oh, yes, AI needs to be regulated more. But that's not I don't think that's going to happen. So let me know what you guys think if, drop a comment. Last piece of news, and Emma, I want your take on this. So Nvidia now, they're valued at $1 trillion company after, everyone needs their GPUs. So we talked about this on the show before. Essentially, a lot of this generative AI, so text to speech, text to image, text to video, they need Nvidia's GPUs. They're kind of the only company that can create a high enough quality and powerful enough processor to help all these AI companies. But NVIDIA essentially released something at Computex, and there's a demo, we'll put it in the newsletter, but it allows a user to actually chat with a live video game, and the video game responds to your voice. Emma, what do you think that's going to be like? I know you have you have two kids. What do you think this technology is going to mean just for anyone?
Oh, this will be so much fun. Imagine, well, in video game, you always have these NPC always telling you the same story over and over, and now become a conversation. And Imagine taking the kids to the museum, and someone will come up and talk to you about the history of somewhere like Greece, and finally can give you a conversation and actually going through instead of pushing the buttons on this in the museum.
That's a great point because those video games I remember as a kid, they weren't that great in the late 80s, early 90s, right? But you're so true. It's just repetitive, and I'm sure kids are fine playing the same story over and over. But imagine, the possibilities when you can actually talk to a video game and it can react to you. That's wild. That's a wild use case. But let's talk about an actual use case of the technology right now. So Emma, again, thank you for joining us. So you are the partner of Flight Level 180, but we're going to be talking about something else today. So I'm going to share my screen. So if you are watching live, you can kind of see what we're going over. But if you're listening on the podcast, I'll try to explain it to you. So this is FlytoPlaces. This is a new app that Emma and her husband recently launched. So I don't want to take too much shine from the big reveal, Emma, because I know this is a little new. So tell us, what is FlytoPlaces and who is it for?
So think of, FlytoPlaces is really an app for private pilots. Think of TripAdvisor, but for pilots. So mainly the core use case is the owner pilots, private pilots to discover and plan extraordinary trips. There's already tons of tools out there for flight planning itself, but once you arrive at the destination, what do you do next? It's really a niche market for private pilots right now. Currently in the States, there are about over 500,000 active users. And it's really, as I mentioned, it's really a niche product for owner pilots. And then the secondary market is for the renter pilots and student pilots. So TripAdvisors, but for pilots.
Love it. So if you're watching this, you might be asking, okay, app for pilots. Awesome, right? Like, yeah, it sounds like it fits a cool use case, right? But why are we talking about it on Everyday AI? Well, that's because you guys really tapped into AI to bring this idea to life. And that's something that we wanted to talk about today on the show. So Emma, talk a little bit about how you guys went from idea to now a live app that's being used out in the wild, so people are using this. And how did you use actually AI to get there?
The first question, how do we came up with this idea? I think in the beginning we said it's TripAdvisor for pilots, but if you really look into it, well, how about this? Most of the destination discovery for pilots is really the information out there and it's very scattered. We had to go through a lot of YouTube channels and Facebook groups to kind of mine that information out. This really become a pain point as we took the trip to Bahamas as a little side trip. And when we were planning destinations, it was really hard to find, okay, where is the crew car? What's the customs like, etc., and where to go from A to B. And then after hours of research, then compile this information together, then sharing the information with friends and family was another pain point. It was hard to have my husband tell me, okay, we're going to do this A, this B. It's just really hard instead of a normal Google Doc, right? And coming back, lots of friends and family asked us, how do you get there? So we thought about what if there's a tribal knowledge that from pilots that is organized, collaborated, and delighted to use? What if we can share this destination itinerary with outside of pilots group, for example, like me, passenger, etc., with friends and family? So we develop FlytoPlaces. We use Chat GPT, OpenAI to produce content, and as you can see there, right now I think we have like 25,000 destinations, but it's adding more and more, and having all these like where the crew car, where the things, just using OpenAI to create the content, and also the next piece is to verify it. So we talked about tribal knowledge. You can also add your own destination, upload, downvote, verify if this is a good place for you. And the other one you can see on the screen, we also use Mid Journey to create those images for different destinations.
Yeah, so.
Are you still running in circles trying to figure out how to actually grow your business with AI? Maybe your company has been tinkering with large language models for a year or more, but can't really get traction to find ROI on Gen AI. Hey, this is Jordan Wilson, host of this very podcast. Companies like Adobe, Microsoft, and Nvidia have partnered with us because they trust our expertise in educating the masses around generative AI to get ahead. And some of the most innovative companies in the country hire us to help with their AI strategy and to train hundreds of their employees on how to use Gen AI. So whether you're looking for Chat GPT training for thousands or just need help building your front-end AI strategy, you can partner with us too, just like some of the biggest companies in the world do. Go to youreverydayai.com/partner to get in contact with our team, or you can just click on the partner section of our website. We'll help you stop running in those AI circles and help get your team ahead and build a straight path to ROI on Gen AI.
just zooming in a little bit on the images here. So yeah, great images. There's a plane, from people looking out, kind of out the window at a plane and a beautiful sunset. And then there's this getaway photo with very vibrant colors. And, Emma, even when we originally talked about this before you told me, hey, we use Mid Journey for these photos, I didn't know. I looked at these photos and I'm like, oh, these are great photos. But, Mid Journey helped you create these. So talk a little bit about the process. If you aren't really sure what Mid Journey is, it's a text to image platform where you can, type in an image and, kind of what you want, and it will actually give you great images. But Emma, talk about that piece to Mid Journey, because sometimes getting visuals is one of the more challenging pieces to launching a new project because the visuals are so prominent. So talk a little bit about that process.
So from idea and the content is the hardest part, actually. Instead of hiring millions of photographer or pay for images, we just use Mid Journey. For example, there is actually a Oyster Fest coming up in Maine or Lobster Fest. So
Okay.
we just prompt in what's happening, create a visual for this particular reason, and then boom, it's so easy. And it's so much fun with Mid Journey. With the new version coming out, it's getting more and more realistic and become more situational. Can kind of say what this person's doing and doing what.
Yeah. Marianne, thank you for the comment. Marianne said, this is so cool, Emma. And I think it is cool because, what you guys did, you took, I think so many people are always like, oh, yes, I'd love to make an app or I'd love to, launch a business, but, and there's always a but, right? But we don't have content writers, or but, there's so much research that needs to go into it and we don't have time, or but, the visuals, how are we going to get them? And you guys have a really, I think, fascinating use case, Emma, that shows, hey, you just brought another person on your team. You brought AI in. So what would this have looked like without, Chat GPT or Mid Journey? Yeah, what would this process have looked like without those tools?
It's definitely for months. It saved months of development, I would say. If that definitely make the content creation or the launch faster, for sure. Yeah.
Did how long did you guys have this idea for this app? Is this something you guys had thought about for many years? Is it more of kind of like a more recent kind of project that after the pain point that you described, you're like, all right, yeah, let's get this app going? Like when did the idea come about?
We literally really just took a trip in January, and just after, I'm not sure how long but the dev team probably spent about a month, 8 weeks to produce the app. And I think it just really make the content creation instead of a roadblock. It was just there, and that's really it. It's really speed up the process with AI and Mid Journey.
Yeah.
As a thinking.
Emma, so what you learned in this process, right? To go through, because the first time you use ChatGPT or the first time you use Mid Journey, everything's not going to come out perfectly, right? So what was it, maybe what were a lesson or two that you learned through this process that you can share with others that can kind of learn kind of from your journey of doing this?
I think with any AI tool, it's always garbage in, garbage out. You really have to be very specific with your prompts of what you specifically want. So in our app, we do have a little itinerary situation, like where you want to go, how long you want to be, and who is this for. This can be a romantic trip or a family trip, museum, or a fishing tour. So it kind of we try to narrow it down on the details of what you want to prompt ChatGPT for, and then a planned itinerary. Then you can text it to your friends. Well, the challenge part is always fun. Like we produce an itinerary, for example, let's say Taipei. That's where I'm from. But when I look into it got all the big destination out, but it forgot from point A to point B there is traffic. How do you get there? So
that whole traffic thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's a traffic thing, and why you're going to the west, to the east end, and come back to the west. So there's definitely more things that you need to be put in a prompt or to consider it when we're producing this. Yeah.
So PJ has a great question here. We kind of referenced this, but we didn't go all the way. So, PJ's asking, were you able to use AI to create the app, or was it, or is AI used in the app? So I think I know the answer, but I'm gonna let you take it, Emma. Was AI used to actually create? So I think she's asking kind of on the development side.
Yeah, we used AI to create the content in the image so far. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's a great, PJ, that's a great question. And that's something that I've seen, people have kind of taken it to the next level. I think the things that, obviously, Emma, you guys were quick to the game, so starting on this in January, that was like a month or so after, ChatGPT was released to the public. Even as I recall, Mid Journey was really in its infancy in January, right? So we say that at the end of May, but these tools have gone through so much development over the last couple of months. But I do know now, people are using Chat GPT and other Google Bard to actually code and develop. Do you think you'll ever take it that route, or do you just think that you're just going to be using it for kind of the content and just the images?
There's definitely more to improve in the back end. So I would say I'll leave that to the dev team to decide what's the next step. But this was developed as really the first version, our MVP. We literally just launched it on May 4th and already have 100 of use cases, like users in our app, and from 40 states and 2 provinces. We really want to have this a niche product for pilots, want to see how the user feedback, and then go from there.
Lauren, thank you for your comment. This is so true. So Lauren said, "Oh, she just told y'all that your prompts are trash. Savage but true. She's a fan forever." That's awesome. But Lauren, you bring up a great point. What Emma said. I skipped over it, but it's actually one of my favorite kind of sayings, especially in the AI space, like garbage in, garbage out, right? So yeah, whether it's prompts to get content, prompts for images, garbage in, garbage out. Emma, talk a little bit more about that. So like the very first time that you were trying to use ChatGPT, whether it was to get content for the app or images, did you kind of, get some subpar results the first time around?
It's always fun to see what Mid Journey come up as image. It did get more and more specific as you be more specific of what your images request for, right? Yeah, exactly. I did. Yeah. Okay.
Another great question from PJ here. So with the app, Emma, how are you monetizing? I'm sure that's something you've talked about plenty, but what's the plan, for this app to monetize it?
So right now, we're kind of letting our beta user to use the app right now. For future use, we're definitely going to use more AI in the app, maybe probably towards app development. And as for the trip planner, point A, point B, we talk about that. Instead of telling all the destination, also we can fine tune that preference, maybe consider the traffic or how easy it is to be in there. And really, another thing that in if you think of the flight planning, is that recommend for destination based on the aircraft capacity and the pilot experience. For example, we don't want second core is the student pilots. We want them to explore a wild area in the bush. Pilot, we want to just consider how the airport, the runway, etc. And really want to take the next level is to help the pilot community. There is a lot of mentorship need in this community as with mentees, mentors, and based on pilot experience and how to take it to using the community power to kind of nurture and continue this tribal knowledge collaboration.
Yeah, that's a great point, because I'm sure it varies a little bit, from country to country. Here in the U.S. over the last year and a half, there's been a huge pilot shortage, right? So Emma, how do you think that this community piece, just helping, you talked about mentorship, just making pilots' day-to-day lives easier. How much do you think that this can mean? Obviously it's right now, it's brand new, it's freshly launched. You're getting initial feedback, but how much do you think that this can mean to just the industry and giving them a tool that can help them grow in their careers?
Right now, the pilot communities are living in Facebook groups, which is you have, for example, there's a pilot group for Bahamas with everything there, but it's all conversation. There's nothing organized or like updated so far, right? So I think at the beginning, we said we want to be organized, delightful to use, and also continue growing and contributing. So once we refine the things a bit better, I think go-to-market will be more than just a forum or more than just community. We go into like the paid marketing or maybe matching up like people who want more hours. Yeah.
No, that's
Yeah.
that's a great point. I know we went a little bit over already. Everyday
Yes.
AI is a fast show,
Okay.
Emma, but I do have one or two more questions for you as we wrap up. So I think that what you guys did so fascinating with how quickly you guys went from idea and using different pieces of AI and getting a product live. So with that in mind, Emma, maybe what advice would you have for other people that they're saying, hey, I'd love to be able to launch a business, but I do have these kind of roadblocks. So from your experience, especially with using AI, what might you tell someone with, tapping into AI to help them launch a business?
Really just be open-minded, tap into Jordan, see they to kind of keep up with the industry knowledge. And really, I think it's with collaboration. It's okay you don't know something, but if you work with somebody else, they will help to launch a business. Really just that open-minded collaboration. And yeah, to new technology. That's really it.
Yeah, no, that's great. And, I like that you said that, Emma, just being open to collaborate, because, you do have to almost talk about, which is weird to say it this way, you always have to talk about your relationship with like Chat GPT, right? And going back to that garbage in, garbage out, because if you go in there with Chat GPT and you're looking to have it help you build a business, you have to say like, hey, I need help here, 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 and here. Like you have to almost, be very vulnerable and say, hey, I need help, coming up with a business name or coming up with a business plan or helping me write the content for the front page, So I do think that that I've seen with entrepreneurs is, sometimes being too proud and saying, oh, I can do it all myself. But Emma, I think you have a great use case here that says like, hey, it's okay to say, hey, this isn't our strong suit. Let's collaborate on that. So like how do you think that this is going to even change in the future? Do you think that there's going to be more great apps like the ones that you built here, just because people are going to be more open to collaborating with AI almost as that third, second or third, person on their team?
Yeah, definitely. We have we have more people coming in and they want to help with the dev, but we also have a dev thing. I think using AI for a data build or any way, and that's for sure. Yeah. And yeah, if anybody wants to know how we built this and wants to build MVP, reach out to us and we'll share our experience as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a great call out, Emma. This at least on LinkedIn here, I'll be in the comments. I'm sure that Emma will be in the comments as well. So feel free to ask more questions, because I think that we didn't, this is a very short conversation, but we could get into it much more. So as we wrap it up, Emma, thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing about your process, FlytoPlaces. It was great to have you on.
Thank you. Thank you, Jordan. Have a great day, Ren.
Yeah. All right. And just as a reminder, please go to youreverydayai.com. A lot of the things that we talked about, we're going to be linking in the newsletter that goes out every single day. So, we're going to have a little bit more about Emma's process and the FlytoPlaces app. And you can sign up to win a year of premium Chat GPT as well. So thank you for joining us today. And we hope to see you back tomorrow and every day at Everyday AI. Thanks.
Thank you.
that's a wrap for today's edition of Everyday AI. Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a rating. It helps keep us going. For a little more AI magic, visit youreverydayai.com and sign up to our daily newsletter so you don't get left behind. Go break some barriers, and we'll see you next time.